Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. Bottom right hand corner we have Tom, who had some fun matches against Spaniard in the previous round, starting as the yellow Zerg. Bottom left hand corner we have WorsT, who had some choice words for his opponents in the previous rounds. And this should be an interesting one. I am glad we're having some variety, we're having some PvZ. I'm trying not to be biased towards the Zerg, just because there have been so many Protoss this season of Hasuleague. But yeah, I do want to comment. A few videos ago, I think I had the score wrong. I've got it fixed here though. And I've also updated the font to reflect the main BSL font. So hopefully that's looking, hopefully that's not a jarring switch. Maybe just me pointing out, I was like, oh no, what's going on? Or I refuse to watch this now. I'm guessing if you guys have stuck with me at this point, you're here with me for the long haul. We'll see. Anyway, I presume we're going to see an overpool from Tom. WorsT is actually, I would say, a pretty formidable opponent. Looks like he's going to end up with first scout. I think he's opting for a Forge first opener. Usually Forge first is, although this does open up some options, usually you'll see Forge first with the initial scout to try to sneak a faster Nexus. Depending on when the spawning pool is dropped, it looks like we are seeing an overpool is the thing to do these days. Maybe it's, I'm not sure how much of this is meta, honestly, and how much of this is Sulky does it, which I don't blame. It's kind of like Flash does it for Terran. I wonder who they do it for Protoss is. Anonymous barcode Protoss on the ladder does it, maybe? It feels that, I'm wondering if like the best Protoss player is not necessarily Snow, is not Best, is not one of these other Korean professionals, but there's just an anonymous barcode Protoss player who's just extremely skilled but refuses to reveal their username or identify themselves out to the world. It looks like, I'm wondering how much this has become standard as well with the overpool opener. It looks like we've got the Forge being built to the corner, is just foregoing grabbing the natural expansion and just grabbing the nearest third instead. And I will be interested as maps potentially become less Sulky favored and therefore less Zerg favored, poor hero, in the midst of this, if the third bases will end up being defensible, but a little bit more stretched out of location where you need to kind of defend and make sure you're grabbing the natural a little bit more. Where you have to, where overpool becomes a little bit less favorable. I'm not sure. That would be one way to do it though, is stretch out where that third is. Anyway, we got the Nexus. I believe that was before cannon, based on viewing everything. Just 2 Zerglings, and I don't even know if this might be able to cancel a cannon, actually. Well, probably not. Don't want to lose the resources. But only need the single cannon. WorsT getting an absolute eyeful right this second. Even getting the extractor timing in the midst of this. Didn't create any havoc towards the natural expansion, so that third base is going to be constructed. I do want to say, though, grabbing the third off location while it delays the hatchery for a bit of time, as in the travel distance of the drone making its way out there, it's not like the other races where you're usually proxying main-erding, as I believe the official term, where you're moving troops, moving probes, workers, drones from your main or your natural expansion out to other bases until they've mined out. With Terran and Protoss, where you kind of move them down like this, you just don't do that for Zerg, because usually it's only a single jump or mineral patch. Overlord diving into the main. I guess this is becoming more standard to confirm the cybernetics core for Zerg, because I've seen all of the Zerg do it up to this stage. And I'm going to trust them as far as the meta. No Zealots out as of yet, by the way. Maybe just trying to, and that's kind of an interesting play. I'm wondering if this, there's the first Zealot queued up. I wonder if it was delayed to get that cybernetics core up a little bit faster, which could, and I kind of like that play from WorsT. That's an excellent adjustment, is skipping initial Zealots because you're seeing so few Zerglings. Because with this smaller Zealot number, well, granted it gives you a smaller Zealot number in the mid game, but kind of your interest in this situation, you're not going to have like a massive Zealot force until you go for the Gateway Flood anyway, so you might as well push the timing of that Stargate to get earlier scouting information and potentially an Overlord kill bonus here. So, but right now, WorsT is 100% confirmed that it's not a Hydralisk bust, at least in the early stages of this match. The Zerg, and doing a great job of keeping that probe alive for an incredibly long period of time. The Zerglings trying to cycle their way around. I think this should be the end of it. Yeah, gets wiped out there. But the Stargate's very nearly finished, and the Spire's just starting, which is going to give a lot of, as long as that Corsair is built first, is going to give a lot of time and leeway to get an initial Corsair out one Overlord is certainly going to die out in the field, but I could see 2 and some bonus Overlords. I don't know if there's enough time for 3. Ooh, look at this! WorsT going for the sneaky double Stargate in the midst of this. Is he going to go +1 on top of it? So just going to go for air raid style. Is that officially what it's called? I wonder what... I think double Stargate is just the official title, but I'm going to call it air raid style. Just because that has a fun sort of feeling to it. But he's got enough information. Never mind, I was going to say he has enough information where he might want to delay back with that initial, but he's got all sorts of leeway to kill the Overlord to the north, maybe even get an Overlord. These Overlords, let's see if he starts working on these Overlords immediately. He sees the 4th hatchery already. Yeah, he's already going to start working on it. And again, that's because skipping that initial Zealot and getting some time. So I think he's going to get this kill for, like, the Spire is not even finished. Got all sorts of time to work with. The second Corsair out can make its way to the north, kill this 9 o'clock Overlord. And that is going to put Tom potentially in the red. Re-engage. And we don't have any Scourge being built on. Where the Scourge being built? Looks like at the natural right this second, but it'll be a minute and should be able to back out. Ooh, Corsair couldn't find the Overlord. Zergling making its way up. There should be time. Yeah. Yeah, should be plenty of time though to work into this. What is interesting is this is double Stargate, but no +1 weapons. Oftentimes you'll see +1 weapons on top of everything else with this. And I'm wondering if Tom, noting the 3 Corsair out on the field, is going, maybe this is a larger air fleet than I might have expected otherwise. +1 weapons, by the way, being constructed. It looks like this is going to be a lot of Hydralisks. Now, this is a huge investment. A huge investment in initial Corsair, which means you need to get a lot of damage done with it. And Scourge, even in small numbers, can pick off a... And I don't think he's seen the second Stargate. I'm wondering if he has the wherewithal to recognize, okay, I need to build something air-wise. So we got 4 Scourge, and the Corsair able to get damage done there. Able to faceplant into 2 of them to wipe it out, but now we've got free reign and more Overlords that are potentially not covered. They don't have Overlord speed. It's a ways off Overlord speed. And the Corsairs can start obliterating Overlords out in the field. This is close to a supply block. Need to be a little bit careful. More Corsair joining up. The more that add on, the faster those Overlords are going to fold, by the way. And once you start mixing in the Zealots with the leg speed, now we have the +1 weapons. I wonder if that was a mistake from WorsT, or if that was calculated as far as timing there. I think it might have just been a mistake as far as the timing. But this is certainly going to pin Tom back quite a bit with these Hydralisks. He's going to have to keep, he's got to keep those Overlords protected on the forward field. And this is enough Corsair where they're not as concerned about Scourge unless they're coming in massive piles in the field. And this is, so the Zealots starting to stream out. They do have +1 weapons with that leg speed. The Corsairs taking a hit and moving in, not able to get any damage on the Overlord primarily, but going to sneak all the way into the main. Overlord speed's just finished, which is going to help a lot against this. And unfortunately, I don't know that WorsT is getting his money's worth right now, and he's got a pile of Hydralisks and Overlords. Then the follow-up engagement with the Zealots on top of the Hydralisks will really be the big indicator here. So a lot of the Hydralisks peeling off, looking to engage these Zealots midfield, finding a Zealot, which is sacrificing his life, it looks like, for vision. Ooh, a lot of them not grouped. Looks like they want to engage here. They're getting a decent surround, actually. And now the Corsair's diving in, but there's still plenty of Hydralisks underneath. So a good amount of Hydralisk kills right there, but still plenty of Hydralisks to defend otherwise. And now we got the full 5-hatch Hydra starting to peel out, and the Corsairs are pretty battered and their numbers have not replenished. And +1 weapons is being upgraded in the midst of this. This is not a lot of Zealots to deal with a lot of this. This is honestly potential with just the 3 cannons. Okay, we do have a Dark Templar and some High Templar out here, although Psystorm's not finished. The Dark Templar might be the savior, potentially, as there's no vision providing support. I would want 1 more or 2, though, because this is still very bustable on the front, because, yeah, now the flooded cannon's getting dropped with the recognition, but this is not a lot of cannons to defend. Just 3, and I'm wondering if Tom's seeing this. Yeah. Oh, is he going to pull the trigger? No, not with the Dark Templar there. So the Dark Templar able to dissuade a bit and push the units back. It looks like a bit of a crash here at the 9 o'clock location. Tom losing some additional Overlords that were out on the field to the Corsair. Does have +1 weapons in the midst of that. It's really hard to micro all of this. I want to note for the Protoss player, getting another kill on the corner though. And that's keeping that Dark Templar very, very active, and is supply blocked Tom, by the way. More kills on that corner. It looks like they're just diving in, but unfortunately their numbers have dwindled to just 2. I will say I feel like they accomplished what they were aiming to accomplish in the midst of this, and WorsT is maintaining a pretty decent lead. He's got all sorts of gateways to produce out of this. He's got a pretty sizable army that has been able to break out. He's got a lot of free damage on a lot of the Hydralisks. The Zealot's taking some free damage behind the main here. He's got a decent amount of Psystorm. And Tom has not yet grabbed a 4th base. So macro-wise, I think WorsT has put himself in a position to go ahead and march out, and he'll be able to defend the 3rd and potentially maybe even deny the 4th, depending. Tom kind of scouting out the situation. Top right, we do have a Zealot that's migrating between those locations. 2 Corsair looking to check that interior potentially to see if an additional base has been grabbed that location. Same thing opposite direction here for Tom. Tom kind of scouting out the various bases to see whether his opponents try to grab something out in the field. Corsair wandering forward. This has felt like very oddly accelerated in the midst of this. Forward gateway going to be wiped out to allow a little bit better troop movement. Are some cannons going to get wiped out as well? The right-hand cannons. Still no movement from either player. It looks like they're just going to wait. I think they're both waiting and seeing. A range is what WorsT is waiting on. Do we have observatory? Yeah, we do have observers. Do we have the initial observer out in the field? Wondering if that is what he's waiting on. He's gone shuttle to get some High Templar. Probably these 4 High Templar out. This is and I think that's what these Corsair are checking out is this very Psystormable natural expansion that has very little defense, although Scourge are just now starting to float out to this location. Maybe, oh, this is the... Oh, no! The positioning not that great either. That's a lot of High Templar. Oh! Just last second able to unload, and the Scourge AI bugging out a little bit, but still able to land on a Corsair. Top right, by the way, is being claimed by Tom. Gonna grab 2 bases simultaneously. No 3rd base out here for WorsT as of yet. +1 weapon, +1 armor versus +2 weapons, by the way. And that's kind of the cost of the Corsair, is slower and lower upgrades midfield. High Templar not yet Psystorming. The Observer being pushed forward to do some spotting. Making its way back. Looking for good Psystorms here from WorsT. Very, very patient there on the engagement. And so this engagement is going very, very favorable. He's taking some shots, as one does. Accidentally killed his own Observer in the midst of this, but does have a replacement Observer. But honestly, 1 Observer and a few hits that have softened up his units otherwise, he's absolutely obliterated this army that was sitting outside his natural expansion. Very patient engagement and very well executed. So should be an additional base, although, okay, Dragoons walking up to provide escort duty should be able to deal with that Zergling. +2 armor also about to kick in, by the way. And the units piling back, and we still have a lot of Psystorm to work with here from WorsT. It looks like I might have missed a Dark Templar. I think a Dark Templar or a Zealot something snuck top right in the midst of that. Scourge fanning out, trying to see if they're just going to patrol in case a shuttle or anything else, or additional Corsair make their way that direction. Tom's still in the red at this late stage. Has a worker advantage, but he's still sitting on 3 bases and has not been able to get his workers to the top right-hand corner to be able to utilize. He's also staying on layer tech for quite a protracted period of time here. And the longer that lasts at this stage, so the longer those upper right-hand bases are not saturated, and the longer we don't have any movement to layer tech, which will cap that upgrade typically at +2, the more this is going to start moving in WorsT's favor. WorsT able to get that 9 o'clock base up, so he's going to have 3 bases in his favor here. And that 3 o'clock is looking very, very vulnerable. And I still don't think a lot of the Psystorm, we got at least a High Templar with a lot of Psystorm left in it. And I think WorsT, smelling blood in the water, is starting to meander very, very close, using the High Templar without a lot of energy as bait. That's the first not fantastic Sidestorm I've seen out of WorsT here. Engagement from the rear. They're eating Sidestorm as they're moving into location. Zealot's able to get into the natural, and on top of a lot of troops. They are getting drawn back to deal with the Hydralisks at a disadvantageous location. Sidestorm obliterating a lot of those drones on retreat. And WorsT getting a lot of value here. I think he's going to be able to wipe out. Yeah, he's going to get a hatchery. Has wiped out the natural expansion, wiped out the drones as well. You have the evolution chamber that was working on +1 getting wiped out, and Tom going to call Uncle right there. So GG, WorsT playing a fantastic game, taking game 1. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for listening.